Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to dig into a provocation-laden title, Direct Hit. Ukraine's new weapons terrify the Kremlin, Russia's defenses collapse. And unpack what it means, what the claims are, how plausible they are, and why this sort of framing matters in the larger contest over narrative and power in this war. Let me start by saying upfront, the title itself is designed to grab attention. Direct hit, terrify the Kremlin, defenses collapse. These are dramatic terms, so our job is to separate the cinematic language from the facts, weigh what we know, and see how much of the hype holds up in light of real evidence. The claim implied is that Ukraine has introduced new weapon systems that have already broken through Russian defenses, causing fear in Moscow's leadership. It suggests a turning point, that Russia's air defenses, missile defenses, or strategic systems are failing when confronted by fresh Ukrainian capabilities. That's a strong claim, so to evaluate it, we should ask, what are the new weapons in question? What evidence is there that Russia's defenses are collapsing in response? What strategic or symbolic value does this claim carry? What challenges or counterarguments exist? First, what are the new weapons? In recent months, Ukraine has received more advanced Western-supplied systems, long-range missiles, precision-guided munitions, drones, and more sophisticated rocket artillery, and has sought permissions to strike deeper targets. Some key examples include ATACMS missiles from the U.S. and Storm Shadow/Scalp from Britain and France, which give Ukraine reach beyond frontline zones. These allow targeting of supply lines, logistics hubs, air bases, missile sites inside Russian territory or Russian-held areas. Independent reporting indicates that after the U.S. relaxed some restrictions, Ukraine began striking regions like Belgorod and Kursk. Ukraine has also been improving its drone swarm capabilities, electronic warfare, and precision targeting to suppress or overwhelm Russian air defenses in certain sectors. On the Russian side, in response, Moscow introduced a new weapon called Orshnik, an intermediate-range ballistic missile with reported hypersonic speed, potentially carrying multiple warheads. Vladimir Putin has boasted that it travels at Mach 10, and Russia says it plans to mass-produce it. Some analysts believe it's based on the Rs-26 Rubezh missile. Russia claims that Orshnik is so fast and advanced that conventional defenses would struggle to intercept it, part of the rhetoric of unstoppable weapon. Still, credible analysts caution that a missile of that size is expensive, likely limited in numbers, and that many of the dramatic statements around it are as much signaling and intimidation as real battlefield force. Carnegie Endowment. So, when someone says Ukraine's new weapons, it likely refers to a mix of these Western long-range strike systems, drone and missile strikes deep behind Russian lines, and systems able to pierce or deny Russia's layered defense. Second, is there evidence Russia's defenses are collapsing? We need to break that down. Defenses collapsing could mean literal widespread failure of missile defense systems, or it might mean that certain defenses are being stressed, penetrated, or forced to shift posture. Let's look at what public sources show. There have been documented Ukrainian strikes on Russian territory and on Russian-held assets, some reaching military infrastructure, depots, and logistic nodes. That indicates some ability to punch through or bypass radial defenses in certain sectors. The independent Russian air defenses have sometimes claimed interceptions, but also reported failures. The fact that Ukraine's drones and missiles sometimes succeed is evidence that Russian air defense is not perfect. Analysts still debate whether Russia's air defense grid is being overwhelmed or simply challenged in specific sectors. Regarding Orshnik, Russian claims are bold, but many experts see it more as a symbolic escalation and a deterrent message to the West, rather than a battlefield game changer right now. Its military value might be limited by its numbers, cost, and vulnerability at atmospheric re-entry. There's no compelling open-source evidence that Russia's entire strategic defense architecture has collapsed, or that its command and control, radar network, missile interceptors, S-400s, Pantsers, etc., have been rendered ineffective across the board. Large-scale failures would likely show up in satellite imagery, intelligence leaks, or battlefield reversals, and none of that has convincingly surfaced to date in public sources. So, the evidence suggests selective stress, localized penetrations, possibly overextension, but not wholesale collapse of Russia's defenses. Furthermore, Russia retains deep layers of defense, layered SAM surfaced, where missiles, point defense, interceptor systems, radar and early warning networks, mobile assets, and redundancy. It's a complex system. Even if some parts are degraded, others may still function. Third, what's the strategic or symbolic value of this narrative? Dramatic titles like Defenses Collapse serve multiple functions, morale and propaganda. It boosts Ukrainian and Western morale, reinforcing belief that the balance is tipping. It also applies pressure on Kremlin planners and Russian public opinion, creating doubt about invincibility. Signaling to allies, it communicates to Western backers that investment in high-end weapons is paying dividends, thus justifying continued or increased support. Psychological impact. If Russian commanders believe their air defense networks are under serious strain, it may force them to reposition, conserve systems, or be more cautious in deploying high-value assets. Escalation posture, coupled with Russian claims about Orshnik, it plays into deterrence psychology. You think you have new weapons, see what we can do. It sets the chessboard for escalation and counters. So even if some claims overstate reality, their symbolic and strategic meaning is non-trivial. Fourth, what are key challenges or counter-arguments? Overhype and exaggeration. Titles and narratives tend to exaggerate for impact. Real warfare is rarely clean or absolute. Limited volumes, new weapons often come in limited numbers initially. You might have a few special missiles, but not enough to override defenses everywhere. Cost vs utility high, and missiles are expensive. Wasting them on low-value targets is inefficient. Russian adaptation. As Ukraine uses a new weapon, Russia can adjust countermeasures, shift assets, feed new tactics, or create redundancy. Attribution and damage assessment. In conflict zones, attributing a strike to a particular system or verifying damage is hard. Some reports may be incomplete, biased, or based on incomplete evidence. Strategic depth. Many of Russia's defenses are deployed not just at the frontier, but deep inside with buffer zones. Penetrating those is a heavy lift. Escalation risks. If Ukraine's deep strikes provoke overreactions, Russia may escalate its own missile programs or resort to greater destruction of civilian zones. Putting it all together, when a title proclaims Ukraine's new weapons terrify the Kremlin defenses collapse, it mixes evidence, aspiration, and theatrical framing. There is indeed reason for cautious optimism. Ukraine's access to longer-range Western systems, better drone integration, precise targeting, and improved logistical support does create pressure on Russian defenses. There are documented cases of Ukrainian forces striking behind the front, disrupting supply lines, targeting ammunition dumps, and exposing vulnerabilities. However, the claim of a full collapse of Russian defenses is not supported by the publicly verifiable record. Russia retains critical air defense capabilities, a layered structure, and strategic depth. The new Russian missile Orshnik is being hyped as a counter-shock weapon, though its real impact is still speculative and limited by cost and quantity. From a narrative lens, the title serves its purpose. It dramatizes Ukraine's advances, casts doubt on Moscow's assurances, and encourages audiences to believe we're witnessing a turning moment. But a smart viewer or analyst must parse between what's probable, what's possible, and what's headline theater. If I were making a video, I'd conclude by saying, Ukraine is pushing the boundaries of what it can do with Western-backed systems. It's forcing Russia to respond and adapt. The war is dynamic. Breakthroughs may emerge in limited fronts before spreading more broadly, and while it might be premature to announce collapse, the pressure is mounting. This is a moment of contest, where propaganda, technology, morale, and attrition all interplay. The real question is whether Ukraine can sustain, scale, and exploit these capabilities, while Russia counters, recovers, and innovates in turn. Let me know if you want me to tailor this script for a specific audience, general viewers, military analysts, etc., or if you want supporting visuals or bullet points to accompany the video.